ever think about, you know, what you have? You've got this shop of yours, you're going to get married, all this sort of stuff. And do you think, wow, that's quite intense for someone of my age. How am I doing this?
It is weird when you really sit back and think about it, but at the same time, like, it all feels right.
Yeah.
And again, none of it's forced, so I just don't question it.
That's the key to it, isn't it?
Just keep going along with it. If it feels right, just go with it, and it does. So you just got to keep pushing on, just keep doing it. Keep doing whatever feels right, and it just brings more and more abundance in every area of your life.
How do you feel about the fact you've got, I don't know, is it about 500,000 Instagram followers, something like that? Does it scare you that you kind of got that influence and that audience watching what you do? Does that intimidate you?
It's a little bit scary to think that many people give a shit about what I'm doing, if I'm honest, but like, it's flattering. It is really flattering, but at the same time, it's quite a tough one, and I never ever want to sound unappreciative or arrogant or anything like that, but at the same time, I struggle with it sometimes because I think that people are very, very quick to put others on pedestals, and that upsets me a little bit. Like, I'm so appreciative of all the kindness and like everybody has ever shown me, whether it be through like, and I don't sit and read all my comments, but I do, you know what I mean, I do take note, and it's like if someone sends me something, of course that means so much to me, and they write, you know what I mean, they write letters, and I don't want to throw them away. Do you know what I mean? It's beautiful and it means so much, but at the same time, what a lot of people and a lot of kids, without sounding like patronising, don't seem to appreciate is the fact that you can do all these things yourself, and you don't have to look at someone else and say like, oh, well, you're so much better at drawing than me, or you're so much better than that, because there's also 10,000 artists that are a million times better at drawing than I am, and in every other respect, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's not a competition at the end of the day, and instead of putting someone on a pedestal and thinking that they're so above you in whatever area, why not just strive for that excellence yourself? Like, draw inspiration by all means from everybody, but don't ever put yourself below anybody else, equally as don't ever put yourself above anybody else, because we're not. And it sounds stupid, it sounds cliche, but we are all the same. We are just on different paths and all doing different things, so you've got to pursue your little route, and go for that, because if you start competing, then it never ends. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because I was going to say, I see people like write comments like, teach me how to be you, or I wish I was you, and it makes me think you should just be yourself.
It's not. That's the one thing, I think, to be totally honest, it gives me anxiety, because it's horrible, and I don't think people, they're being nice, do you know what I mean? They are, they're not trying to be, they're being complimentary and they're being nice, but at the same time, there's a way to go about that, and you don't have to put yourself down in order to compliment somebody else. And you shouldn't, because it's really unhealthy. And not only is it unhealthy to put people on pedestals, because some people are just going to blow their ego up, and it's going to make them.
We've all seen that happen.
They're going to turn into a knobhead. But equally, you can't put down your own self-worth, because you're capable of everything and more yourself. Like, you know what I mean? There's no limits on what you can and can't do. So it's like, I don't like that when it's almost like a battle. There's like, it sounds cheesy, but there's a quote that says like, I'm in competition with I don't know exactly, but it's like, I'm in competition with nobody. I'm simply trying to be better than the person I was yesterday. And that's the most important thing, I think, to remember, because even some of my friends, like, they are so talented and they are so beautiful and they do so well. But if we all sat around all day competing with each other, it just doesn't make any sense. And it's another reason why I must admit I don't really like the tattooing industry, and I do choose to dip out of it a little bit. And that's why I've got the studio, and that's why I'm just in my own little bubble, because it makes me a lot happier. And I don't want to go to, with all due respect, like, I don't feel comfortable going to conventions and things like that and working, because I do get anxiety, and it is a big dick measuring competition a lot of the time. So, and I'm not saying that there's not some incredible artists there, because there really are, and there's some very humble people there as well, and a lot of my friends do them. But for me personally, walking into a room where people have that aura about them, and it's always sizing each other up and comparing, and it's literally just whoever's the biggest and the best, and it doesn't it baffles me because it's subjective. It's subjective. Art is subjective.
Anything creative is.
Yeah, and you can't be the biggest and best at anything because it's personal taste. It's whether someone's into your stuff or they're not, and that's fine. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
And we all do things in our own pace, in our own journey as well. So someone else might flourish later in life or earlier in life, and that's fine.
Everybody's working at their own pace and on a different path as well, which is what's important to remember. So just because it's the same with anything. I mean, I'm getting married and I'm young, but I didn't think I would be. Do you know what I mean? I didn't know if I'd ever get married. I didn't really have any desire to get married, but then it's just that thing. It's like when life happens, you just go with whatever feels right because it's not a race, and you could die tomorrow. It sounds stupid, but you don't know. So just do whatever feels right and don't ever question that. Yeah. The more and more I started going with my gut instinct and trusting my gut with all decisions regarding every area, with my career, every area of my life, that's when things started turning around for me. Yeah. And that's when things started going right.
What made you have that change of mindset? Was there an event that happened or a bad relationship or something?
There was a week of events. I won't go too into it, but it's like, I used to have really, really bad anxiety, and I did take antidepressants for a very brief period of time, just before I actually moved from Scunthorpe, where I had the old studio, to here. And it was just a really dark, horrible time, and there were a lot of different things going on in my life, but it was no particular situation as to why I was feeling that way. It was all inside of me, and that's what's with everybody. Like, your external circumstances change, and they will continue to change till the day you die, and you have no control over them sometimes, whether you want to or not. Like, some things do happen, do you know what I mean? But it's how you choose to react to those situations that should determine your own happiness, and also it's how you feel within yourself as to whether whatever's going on around you, it shouldn't affect how you really are inside. Yeah. Obviously we've got emotions, that's natural, and you're gonna ride the waves sometimes, but at the same time, like, you have to have that inner contentment and just love, just self-love. Otherwise you're never going to be able to put it into anything else you do or give it to anybody else that you meet, because that's where it all starts from. But I had a really, really rough week once where everything just changed in the space of about a week, and I moved here, I got a new job, I fell in love with Ollie, and I moved in with him, and a lot of stuff happened, and I lost a lot of friends and a lot of stuff like that, but I think everybody knew that deep down I wasn't happy, and something had to give. Do you know what I mean? It got to that point where it's like, something's got to give, because nothing's going right now. Everything was seemingly good, now I'm miserable. So I was like, this isn't right, this isn't how it should be.
Life's too short for that.
Yeah, way too short. So I just stood up one day and I just put my hands up to everybody, and I said, to my bosses, to my friends, to my previous relationship, to everything, I just said, I'm really, really sorry, but I'm unhappy, and I said it's not on anybody else but me. And I tried to reiterate that, and sometimes people can't take that at the time, but it wasn't on anybody else but me. Yeah. And it was my own happiness, and I really needed to take that time for myself, by myself, and just make changes, like physical changes. So I did. I quit work. I said, I'm sorry, I love you all, but I'm going. Bye. Yeah, I'm really, really sorry, but I've got to do this. And I said it to my ex-boyfriend, who was incredible, he was a beautiful person, but it sounds so cheesy when you say it's not you, it's me, but it was. Yeah. I was really deeply unhappy within myself, and I would never ever be able to give him the love that he deserved, because I didn't have it for myself. So I did that, I quit work, I moved out, a bunch of shit happened.
Quite brave doing that, isn't it?
It was pretty scary. Yeah. And then, and that were it.
And it all fell into place.
Ridiculously so. Yeah. But also at that point, without starting to sound like a hippie bastard, like my eyes really got open to the synchronicity of everything. And whether some people laugh at it or some people believe it, like whatever, when you start opening your eyes to these little things, these little synchronicities and these so-called, like what we say, coincidences, when they occur, don't ignore them. And when you start opening your eyes to them, when you really start noticing them, you'll notice them more and more, and they come in abundance, and they'll lead you in the right direction, and it just lets you know that you're on the right path. Like, one of the best things I ever heard was the word coincidence. It actually derives from the word coincide, which means two angles that fit perfectly together. So we've taken a word that means something that fits perfectly and changed it into something that is by accident. Yeah. which is really
That doesn't make
messed up.
sense,
That's
does it?
really weird. Think about that in effect, like something that we think is just accidental and just happens is actually something that works perfectly. It's not necessarily an accident, it just fits.
Who made that change then? Like, who
I don't
defined
know.
it?
I don't know, but it's fucked up. We should probably revert to the real meaning of it because, I actually saw that in an interview with Oprah.
Oh, we love a bit of Oprah.
Yeah, there's a guy called Wayne Dyer who, it was him and her that, I remember just hearing that and I probably butchered it, but...
Close enough.
Yeah, it was close enough, you get the idea, but it was, that's hit me and I was like, oh shit. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.